Hi friends, I'm Rod, and this is the story of how I created an entire game from scratch in 5 days. If you don't know, I'm a software engineer in training. If you were going to ask me how many games I've programmed in my entire life, I'd say 0. I did make a game for a project in one of my undergraduate classes, but I think that barely counts since I was following a tutorial the entire time. Well, that changes today. Let me show you how my game counter went from 0 to 1 in a span of 5 days. And only during my spare time since I'm working and all that. I was inspired by Game Maker Toolkit's Game Jam 2017 theme, Dual Purpose Design, and GMTK's Game Jam 2020 theme, Out of Control. I tasked myself with creating a game that strips the player of direct control, while at the same time using that lack of control for something else. Go check out GMTK's videos for other games just like this. I have previously used Construct 2 to create this game you're seeing right now, and that was way back in 2019 when the world was way different. I figured that if I wanted to produce games in the future, I'd want to use software that is not outdated. This is why I opted to use Construct 3, even if it comes at a small cost. What I like about Construct 3 is that it allows us to create games for phones and desktops, and minimal coding knowledge is required. The lack of coding is completely fine since I'm already caught up with Python as it is with machine learning and all that. So, here's my plan. I wanted to create an endless shoot-'em-up game where you try to get the highest score. Instead of the score being proportional to the number of enemies killed, the score is proportional to the number of enemies that did not get past you, which we will call the combo counter. Once an enemy gets past you, the combo counter should reset to 0. The player has a hook which they can use for moving. They have to hook to the floor or to the ceiling before they can start moving up or down. Taking a page from Dual Purpose Design, the hook can also be used as a last resort to destroy enemies. If the hook comes into contact with an enemy or projectile, they will instantly be destroyed. The player has 3 lives and power-ups can be collected along the way, which increases the number of bullets spawned by the player. For this project, I'm using a very limited color palette consisting of only 4 colors. This almost black, this almost white, and these 2 colors. I got the colors from lowspec.com, which is a great resource to check out color palettes. Just to get some terminology out of the way, a sprite is a 2-dimensional bitmap that is integrated into a larger scene, most often in a 2D video game. So, in order to make the graphics, you have to do sprite work. For spriting, I'm using AceSprite instead of the all-reliable MS Paint. This shift in program is mainly due to the fact that I'll be dealing with animations as well, and I wanted a program with an inbuilt animation window. I first sprited the player character since I know it was gonna be the most complex of all. I thought it'd be cute if the character was continuously spinning, and he would spin faster when moving up or down. Next, I handled the static sprites, the hook, the projectiles, the background, and the floor and ceiling. For the enemies, I did 3 simple designs with simple animations so as not to take so much time. Game making in Construct 3 is very visual. Just set the layout properly and properly condition your events, and you're good to go. As an example, say we want the player to move only when the hook is at the floor or at the ceiling. Okay, so right now you're seeing the Construct 3 interface, but it really just boils down to if up arrow key is pressed, then spawn hook at player position, and hook moves upwards. If hook is colliding with floor or ceiling, then hook speed equals 0, player moves upwards. Everything in Construct is just a matter of if-then statements, possibly looping, coupled with OR and end blocks. Pro tip, whatever it is you're working on, save frequently. I did not know that I need to save my work since I was thinking this runs on a browser, so it must save by default. So I made the mistake of refreshing the tab. I spent a good 5 minutes lamenting all the work I've lost for 2 days. But worry not, I was able to recover everything because I've recorded everything, so it was just a matter of reconstructing all my work. After less than an hour, I've recreated all my work and now it's on to day 3. This is where I implemented most of the base mechanics including enemy destruction and enemy spawning. I'm really proud of how I implemented the random enemy spawning. Basically, every 5 seconds, the enemy spawner positioned just outside the right of the screen generates 5 enemies of a random type. Every 10 seconds, their speed variable increases by 100, and every 20 seconds, their HP variable increments by 1. I also wanted to focus on improving game design and general game ambience. For starters, I added particle effects, which is just a sprite of a star which grows and fades. I added this to all instances where I think there should be impact. I added a screen shake every time the hook collides with the ceiling and the floor. I made the player flash whenever they got hit, and added a short period of time when the player is... I wasn't ready to make my own music for this exercise, so I used an 8-bit version of the Gusty Garden Galaxy theme from Super Mario Galaxy, created by the wonderful Tater Tot Tunes. Go check them out. For the sound effects, I'm using the sound effects in the NES game Gradius. I think it was only when I started adding the music that I thought things were falling into place. A couple of lessons I've learned over this exercise. 1. Try to finish the graphics as early as you can and the game will naturally follow. I know this doesn't apply to everyone, but it most definitely applied to me. I think it's not a matter of where you will take the game, but where the game will take you. And number 2, don't be afraid to try something new. This was definitely new for me since it was new software and I did not follow a tutorial for a majority of the time. If you can't tell, I do find making games fun and I'll definitely be exploring this more in the future. Let me know if you have game ideas you want me to try to implement. Number 3, don't be afraid to bail out. Sometimes quitting is the bravest thing to do. There were definitely ideas I scrapped because I knew I wouldn't be able to do them in time, or maybe I didn't think they were much fun as a game mechanic. It's always good to regularly assess your game making decisions. It's always good to take a step back, breathe, and look at your game with a fresh perspective. Number 4, if you're ever gonna download Construct 3, which you should, set your interface to dark mode because it looks way cooler. I only found about this after writing the script for this video, so I'm sorry. This was definitely a fun side project while I was dealing with Python and machine learning. I'm hoping that I can make more games in the future, maybe try to join game jams out there. I know Game Maker Toolkit's Game Jam 2021 has just concluded, but I wasn't around for that. So I'm hoping I can be there for 2022. And hopefully the world is much better next year. I hope you enjoyed the journey as much as I did. I know there's still quite a lot to learn, but that's a story for another time.